All right, good morning. Steve Pavlick here on 9/11. So I am wearing the red neck, red, white, and blue hat. Thank you for joining me this morning. Big debate last night. I figured we'd get right into it. From your seat, your perspective, what were your takeaways?
Well, sure. I just want to acknowledge 9/11, that tragic day. But switching to last night, look, you saw a big, I would classify it as big, 10-point swing in the betting markets, judged by the Real Clear Politics average in favor of Harris. I think that sort of suggests that she had better performance. And I sort of judge that by, if you're explaining, you're losing. We always said that with politics. And that was definitely the case last night, where Donald Trump was on the defensive. He spent most of the time defending his positions. Harris sort of put him in that spot. I think some of the questions from the Trump perspective probably directed more towards the past rather than the future at the end, sort of put him in that spot as well. But Trump wasn't able to put Harris on the defensive in terms of explaining her relationship with Biden, which is sort of continue in that same direction, and some of her policy positions that have changed from when she ran for president prior. So that's why I think objectively Harris had the better performance. I think it's important to remember, though, that winning debates doesn't perfectly correlate with winning elections. Recall that many people thought Hillary Clinton won the 3 debates in 2016. Obviously, she didn't go on to win. Many people thought Romney won the first debate with Barack Obama. He didn't go on to win. So that was sort of my big picture takeaway. In terms of people that were tuning in for, I would say, more substance on policies, maybe it's not surprising we didn't really get that. I think for Harris, she has sort of a difficult political needle to thread. I think that really came out some of the findings a few days ago from the New York Times Siena College poll. A lot of voters either aren't aware of her policy positions, say they want to know more about them, or what they have heard, believe she's too liberal for them. And so I know she kept most of the focus on Trump last night, because again, I don't think she wanted to alter that political seesaw. If she's too progressive on some policies, then she was alienating moderates and vice versa. But by being evasive, I don't know that she addressed some of those outstanding concerns from these few persuadable voters, particularly in Pennsylvania and Georgia. So I think we're gonna have to wait a few more weeks to see whether or not they have changed their opinions in looking at the polls.
So you've walked me through and walked us through the math here a bunch of times. Just do it again. What do we need here? What does Trump need here? What does Harris need here in terms of the outcome, and how does that change? Did last time change any of that, or way too early to know?
I think it's still probably a little early to see how much that has changed. Again, I think the momentum probably still favors Harris, but the fundamentals, to your point, in terms of the map and the issue set, particularly the economy and immigration, still favor Trump. So you have 538 electoral votes. You need a majority, which is 270 to win. Trump received 232 electoral votes in 2020. Remember that the census changes actually means that if you're looking at Trump's 2020 as a floor, he actually begins with 235 electoral votes. Which means you have to find 35 more. And I think the path that he and his team are spending the most effort in terms of not only appearances, but also money, is winning Pennsylvania, which has 19, and Georgia, which has 16. So that would get into the 270 needed to become president, which is why I would really focus on how the voters there are reacting to the debate and some of the policies.
Yeah,
at some point moving forward.
Yeah, that's probably the focus. Look at those newspapers. Last question. What about the second debate? Heard a little about they're definitely doing one. Heard that no way they won't do one. What did you hear, and what are you hearing on that?
I think it's still TBD, although to your point, it's interesting that the Harris campaign came out right after the debate. Something along the lines of that was fun, let's do it again. I'd be surprised if the Trump campaign doesn't take her up on that offer, just given his performance there. My sense is that if the Harris campaign is sincere, and no reason to doubt that, that's sort of because they felt this went so well, let's try to repeat it. There's always a risk with hubris. There's always a risk that Trump may have a better performance the second time around. Going back to, again, Mitt Romney had a good performance against Barack Obama the first campaign or debate. Barack Obama had a much better performance in the second and third debates. So we'll still see whether or not that materializes. The important thing to watch there is going to be what network it's going to be on, as well as the moderators. Obviously, the Trump campaign pushing for a more favorable network and moderators, i.e. from Fox. So I think that's the thing to watch moving forward.
Yeah, perfect. Really appreciate it. Good recap. Thanks again, Steve. Have a good day.
You too.